I can crop it off. Yeah. But we need to turn the fan off. Stay in there.
Okay.
Goodbye, fan.
All right, voice memos. Do we need to? It's a bit on me right now. If we want it to be a little bit more turned. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's better. Oh,
America!
I just stepped on her.
Yeah, but now she just fucking shook the whole thing. Lay down. You better not bark at all.
Are we ready?
Do we know our intro?
I have it already.
Welcome to
Did you want to practice? Or just go ahead.
Anna, if you're like us and you're sick and tired of using
Blip,
fear
blip, 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 blip,
as an excuse to
blip,
not
blip,
truly
blip.
live your life.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the Start to Be Great podcast. I'm your co-host, Kimmy.
And I'm Anna. And if you are like us and sick of using fear as an excuse to not truly live your life, then you're in the right spot. We are here to tell you that you do not have to be great to start something, but you do have to
Start to be great. So we're gonna get right into it today. We're gonna talk. You read the name of it, FUBAR. Why is the world so fucked up? That's what we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, what was it? Was it this morning or yesterday? And I was like, Kimmy, we got to do the fucked up one because I am ready. Because
Yeah.
I'm about to burst.
I said I too feel the world is fucked up. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so obviously, like, there's so many things, and this might end up being like a multiple episode one later on that we touch on again. But there's a couple things we want to talk about in regards to how the world is right now and how we each can make an impact and change ourselves and then change our community and our families and our circles to make the world better.
Yes.
So what we were talking about was, kind of just figuring out if, like, do you have a purpose? Like, what is your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And, you were saying something about, like, making an impact.
Yeah.
In the community.
I mainly wanted to talk about if you had principles and if people would adopt them, how do you think that would make the world a better place? That's mainly like what I wanted to talk about.
Okay. I mean, I have a lot of principles. I'm like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for
nothing.
Yeah, you'll fall for anything, or you stand for nothing. I'm very, very black and white in my beliefs.
Yes.
So much so that people probably get annoyed by me at some point, but I don't really give a shit. That's just the truth of that. But right now, my dog's name is America. All right, she's 9. I have been like a gung-ho America freak.
Yeah.
Since forever. Like, people just know. Like, people still to this day that don't know me like that well anymore will like send me an American flag something and be like, oh, I know you love this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love that is what makes people think of me.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me fucking stoked.
That's awesome.
I know.
Because I think that patriotism in America has suffered greatly, especially in the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, they're making types. Okay, so the "Don't Tread on Me" flag is on the FBI terrorist list right now. So is the Betsy Ross flag, the one that was hanging over Joe Biden as he was sworn in to be the president 2 years ago.
Oh man.
One of the fun things that Kimmy and I have learned in hanging out. So there's a little age gap here, a little like veterans. Maybe I pay a little more attention to things because of that too. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was how important it is to kind of be aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this because I recognize it. I choose ignorance, honestly. I get so frustrated and I get so emotional when I listen to the news, when I hear what's going on. Like, I just get so, there's so much shit thrown in our face all the time that's not good. It's like
That's what they want you to do. They want your emotions.
Yeah, exactly. And I pride myself in being a very positive person. I want to be happy and I want to be a positive light. And I'm just a asshole with optimism, basically, right? And so when I read the news or when I stay informed like you should be, I get very, very, very not okay. And so I just choose that I don't. And so she'll tell me things that are going on and I was like, oh shit. And it's like, that's not a good thing. I do not recommend that even slightly. And so I'm trying to get better. So tell us what your thoughts on that are.
I mean, yeah, we're not going to go balls deep in politics tonight, but I think that because I have been there where like I get absorbed in it, and you know, I don't watch mainstream news. If I watch it, it's to see what the mainstream media is pushing onto society, and like it's all propaganda. So I'm just curious as to seeing like what they're telling everybody, because then it makes more sense when you have all these people responding a certain way. Well, they're being told
the
that's
information
what to
they're
do.
given.
And so, but yeah, it's hard to like have a happy medium. And the way that I solve that is I focus on what I can and cannot control.
Yeah.
I cannot control a lot, but I can control what I do. I can control who I spend my time with, what things I put into my brain, how I impact my community. I can't control my business. I can control the products that I buy and making sure that they support American companies. Those are the things I can control. And I can make sure that I'm strong and that I'm prepared for whatever happens. So those are things that I'm paying attention to. I'm learning the things that I may need to know if and when shit hits the fan. So, yeah, that's kind of like the way that I've found to balance it, because otherwise you're gonna lose your mind, because you can't be angry all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like part of the whole last couple of years, I'm not gonna say the word, but part of the last couple of years, I think it's like a really big science experiment. If you think about like our ancestors and the stress response that like the fight or flight that we like should get in as humans, like to hunt and kill your food or to like run from someone who's trying to come after you and kill you, like it's a short burst of adrenaline and stress that your body's put under, and then you get back to normal. Yeah. And your hormones and everything it balances out. And,
homeostasis.
Yes, homeostasis. Thank you. When was the last time anyone's felt any bit of homeostasis in the last couple of years? Like honestly, like a lot of people just haven't. They're constantly, especially if you watch the news or you're paying attention.
I hate this word, but I'm going to use it. It's triggered. Yeah. Like so many people are triggered by so many things now. And I think as a collective, as a community, as a collective, we went through a major trauma through these last 2 years. Like I think just being forced to, I don't know how to say this.
Just say it.
I just like,
Who fucking cares? We're not here to make new friends. We got each other.
I just think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. Yes. How we responded was new because it was something new. But I think that there was so much behind it that we aren't talking about.
Oh yeah.
And I think that humans weren't meant to stay inside. Humans weren't meant to be isolated like that. Humans weren't meant to do what they forced us to do.
There's a reason why isolation in prison is the worst thing you can do to a human. And like prisoners of war, like those people were fucked up. Like it's intentionally done. Like vitamin D, we need sunshine, we need the outdoors, nature.
We are gregarious as a species. Yeah. We are meant to be around other humans. Yeah. So
I think definitely it's so weird because we are using two sources of social media or like technology. You know, we have a laptop, we have a microphone, we have a camera, we have another phone right here. We use it for everything. You're wearing a smartwatch, you know, like it's hard to not involve it in your life, but you can't completely rely on it because then you will be completely useless. Yeah. Because, you know, what if the power goes down?
I have a story actually for this. So I went through a minor crisis because I was driving home sometime when I lived in Florida. I was driving home. I was far away from home and I didn't know where I was. And for some reason, the satellite was like down or something, so
Yeah.
I was not only running out of diesel, so I was trying to find a place to go, but all of their systems were down, so I couldn't pay for the diesel because like I didn't have cash on me. I
Right.
only had my debit card, and nobody's debit card like systems
Yeah.
were working, so I couldn't afford like I couldn't buy.
Yeah.
I kept driving to another place to get gas, but they couldn't take my money, so they wouldn't give me gas, and so I was like, oh my god. So I finally found a place where their system worked for some reason. So I got diesel fuel, but then I got on my phone, which I was using for GPS to get home because I was like 2 hours from home and it wasn't working. And for some reason, my calls weren't going through. Nothing. I couldn't call anybody. I didn't have maps. I was like, I don't even know how to read signs to get back to the interstate to even find even like a semblance of on my way home.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Do I look at the fucking stars? Am I like North Starring Sacagawea shit? Like, this is stupid. I felt so helpless. And I got a hold of my dad for slightly, like it was in and out for 30 seconds. I was like, dude, I'm lost. Track me. Like, I am lost. And then he would cut out. And then I would have a full on another mental breakdown. I'm like, I am literally going to die because I don't know how to do normal shit.
So dramatic.
I was, oh my god, and from that day, like I literally like wrote in my like a journal entry after this about like how I was just so not okay not having my tools.
Yeah.
But those tools can go out at any moment. So
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I couldn't deal with it. It made me so uncomfortable. I literally couldn't deal with it.
So what'd you learn from it?
I learned nothing because I still don't know how to read maps. It's fine.
Do you carry cash on you?
I do always.
Okay.
I always have cash on me.
That's a
now.
lesson. Cash.
I did.
Maybe generalized maps for your state in your glove box.
Yeah.
They're like $5 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they're more expensive nowadays, but that would be a good thing to invest into.
Yeah.
Throw that in the glove box.
Yeah,
to
that's
not
good.
think about until
That's
you
good
need.
advice. Thanks, Mom.
And always have a weapon.
Oh yeah, I had that, but I just, man,
I'm just saying.
I didn't even know if like somebody would even know that I was missing. You know, I was in some random swamp area of Florida. Okay, I was like gator bait. Like it was a rough time,
Yeah.
but we made it through.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm not.
You know, yeah, I think that it's good that happened to you because it's kind of like a realization of
Yeah.
like, hey, like I will be screwed without these things.
Everything's a lesson for sure.
My biggest concern, if like power goes out for a serious long time, is all of my main food, like my meat, will be spoiled because I have freezer meat. So like I have like food storage food and I have water for a long time. Don't try and come and take it because I'll shoot your ass. But just throwing it out there. But yeah, like I don't own this house, so like I don't have a generator and like I don't have, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I have to like learn how to like. There's like you can like dig a hole so far in the ground that like the meat will stay cold. I don't. There's a lot of like survival stuff.
We're going doomsday
No,
now.
it's not doomsday, but like the media just within the last week they are putting it out there. So basically, like what I've witnessed is what they say that they are like worried about is like what tends to like happen. So it's like they're foreshadowing it, like they already know that it's coming. It's like they're trying to control I mean, if you know anything about like psychology and sociology, like how humans behave and interact, like you can kind of predict based on so many actions what their outcomes are going to be. And so they're calling for like a civil war. Not that I think that is happening soon, but they want it to probably. And like, yeah, it's kind of fucking,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird to think about. And again, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, but I would rather be prepared than not. But the bigger part of it is now that we like, let's crawl back out of this fucking wormhole. Because if anybody has like been on the internet lately, you can get sucked in
Easy.
deep. The thing that we really wanted to talk about was focusing on the things that you can control and like being involved. You know, now that school started up again, like one of the things I want to do is I want to go to the school board meetings this year, and because I want to be aware of what they're talking about. You've seen a lot of like fucked up things that teachers, even in Texas, are doing that's super inappropriate. Now I'm lucky, like my kid's old enough that she knows to like not follow the bullshit, But also, like, I don't know how ballsy she'd be to stand up to like 1 or 2 teachers.
I don't know what you're referencing.
There was just audio that I heard that a teacher was like telling students that you can't call them pedophiles, you have to call them minor attracted people. And that it's okay, they can't help it that they want to have sex with 5-year-olds.
We're trying not to offend pedophiles now?
Apparently. It's probably because she is a pedophile. But that was supposedly in like El Paso, Texas.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was like I think it was an older kid, so it's like a high school maybe. But like, there's just weird stuff. Weird stuff happening all over.
Yeah.
All over, like with the kids. And I just want to be involved in the school board. And, you know, speaking of schools,
yeah,
we can talk about like education.
Education as a whole, FUBAR, right? Why are we so fucked up? So,
tell us what you learned last week.
I don't even know how to start. So I want to give you some background. My mom's a teacher. I highly respect teachers. I highly respect the education system. But what I realized. We can cut this out.
America, stop it. Shh. This is what happens when you record in your garage with the garage door open. Stop it. That's cute. They have 3 dogs and 3 children. Mm-hmm. The 3rd child's inside. Okay. America, leave it. Stop. It was either this or she was gonna be inside barking at the door the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think we're good here.
So your mom's a teacher.
Yeah. So my mom's a teacher. I highly respect the education system. I highly respect teachers. I just want to preface that. I'm about to talk shit about the education system though. Because, so I met with my financial advisor last week. Mm-hmm. And I realized just how behind I feel. Like, it's really good. You know, I've been reading, you had me read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which put me through a similar crisis of just realizing how much I don't know. You know, it's just, if you're not taught it, you don't know it. And so I don't think that it was even mentioned in my schooling.
No.
Anything about what you need to do financial wise, that being setting up an IRA, that being, you know, caring about retirement, like setting up stocks and bonds, setting up anything that you would need to know to have investments type shit.
Why would they not teach you that?
That's a good question.
Because they don't give a shit about
They
you.
don't give a shit. And
If you could retire 20 years in, would you make a good worker?
That's a good question.
No, they want you to work a lot longer because they want you to just work your whole life away.
Yeah. So
if you don't know how to save your money.
I think you go to school to learn how to be a member of society that they want you to be. Like, we went to a speaker this past weekend, and he was saying, it was with Jesse Elder, and he was saying, even from the beginning of school, you raise your hand to ask to urinate. Like, what the fuck? That is a natural bodily function, but you have to raise your hand and ask permission to do it. So you're taught how to be a person and how to be controlled, honestly. And I think you're taught wonderful things in school. I think a lot of what you learn is necessary. And I understand that there are strict regulations on teachers that they have to make they're told what they have to teach for that year, because it's all about standardized testing. It's all about learning if you can be a student. It's not learning stuff that you actually should be knowing for the future, in my opinion.
It's not real life stuff.
Like, why was I not taught financial stuff? Why are we not taught health?
Actual health.
Oh my God, don't get me started about the lack of nutrition education in America.
How about doctors?
Why
don't doctors know anything about nutrition?
The only thing you know about nutrition is what your parents taught you. So if your parents are teaching you what they learned, I talked about this in the last one, but the fact that like you are only taught what your parents know. My mom says peanut butter is a source of protein. I'm going to keep saying this, Mom. I hope you're listening. Peanut butter is not a source of protein. It is a source of fat that contains protein.
Yeah.
And it's just so much. There are no habits that are taught in anything nutrition-wise. That is why we are obese as a country. Yeah. Like, the FDA is not doing shit to regulate what's in our food. And if you don't know about food, or if you just don't care about food, like it's like there's just lack of education on nutrition as a whole topic. Yeah. But alas, I will move on.
You know what? Before we leave the food, you know what's funny is when I went to Croatia in 2017, I think, I had pizza there, and it was amazing. Croatia, if you don't know, is across the water from Italy, so it's across from the hill, and so it's like very, very good pizza. And when I say this, I really mean it. It felt and tasted healthy. And you're like, pizza's not healthy, and I'm like, you're right, but the ingredients were simple, and they were grown. I could tell by like every bite and how I felt. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, imagine if we had that all the time. We could eat pizza all the time and not like have it be like this disgusting, junk thing, greasy food that we get.
And now food is all about mass production, right? They don't care what hormones or pesticides or shit that is put all over our food. It's all about mass production. It's not about quality. It's not about, oh, all these pesticides that you're putting on your food are now being ingested.
Yeah.
Like, you look at an apple, the nutrition facts on an apple now versus even 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. They're much bigger. They're maybe a fourth of nutrients in them.
Yeah.
Why is none of our food filling? Why is half the food half is generous? Half the food we eat processed.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Somebody mind that.
I'm trying to be generous. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it's bad. And the amount of like poisonous chemicals in our food is it's not good. You know what I also want to point out is I saw something. I don't know how accurate this number is, so don't quote me. I'm not the fucking news, but it was like 1.2 million students did not go back to public schools
after
like this. This I don't know if it's this year or last year, whatever. But so I don't know if they're maybe going to private, but I think a lot of them are getting homeschooled now.
Yeah.
And like I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we used to make fun of homeschool kids because they were weird, because they didn't learn social skills. When I was in the Marine Corps, my friend who was a corpsman, Liz, she's up in Minnesota, and she was homeschooling her daughter back then. So like that was in like 2008 that I knew her. And I mean, her kid is, like a teenager now, and so capable. I mean, this girl could probably do anything you need her to do in the house, like taking care of, from kitchen to like maintaining things. And like, I don't know what she's taught her about like cars or whatever, but I'm like, she's learning so much more. She's going to be such a capable adult. Yeah. And like, that was kind of around the time when my eyes opened up to it. And like one of my close friends, she was homeschooled for a while, and I'm like, she's doing so well. Like, she learned a lot of skills. And I always thought to myself, I was like, man, like when I first met her, I was like, this girl, like, is she one of those girls that just like acts like she knows a little bit of everything? And I was like, nah, this girl was homeschooled. She probably just read a lot and was like legitimately curious about things and learned things that actually like were interesting to her. And now she still knows these things. And I mean, they're helpful, useful things. And I'm like,
you mean education isn't supposed to be a chore? So many kids hate waking up and going to school because you're not learning things. You're not even learning to love to learn. You are learning to work in a factory and work for a long time and listen to a boss and have only bare minimum to live. They want to keep you in a box. Yeah. And you are being desensitized for 12 years on how to be in a box.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of goes like, I think we were talking about school because one, school just started, but two, they're doing the bailout thing right now. And we don't need to get deep into that, but point being is like, I can't think of, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or that's really all I got. What else you got? What other jobs do you need to like actually have a degree in that field? Like something in medical, I would say. So like healthcare, or something where you need to, like a lawyer, or like, maybe architecture so that you can have safe buildings. I
mean, I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm saying those are the only like careers that you need a degree. Like that you need.
I think you need education in most things. I don't know what you mean by degree. Like I would say, engineers need a degree. I'm
saying like there's a handful of jobs that still actually require and actually need a degree. Like I are going to be going to school in the fall, but like could you or could you not learn everything online and do just a good job? Like, probably.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I would need to be taught.
Yeah, but like you could find someone to mentor you in that field or something. I'm just saying, my point is, you're giving me the face. My point is that you don't need a fucking communication degree to be a writer or a speaker.
I see
like you don't need.
People are just getting a degree to get a degree.
Because a college degree, a 4-year degree, like
you're told that's what you need.
Yeah, it's the next step in life. But like.
But now a degree means nothing, and now you need a graduate degree. And when does that mean nothing?
Right.
Like you can't even be considered for a job unless you have a degree or a graduate degree or 10 years experience. Well, how are you supposed to get experience if you can't get a job? Like it's literally, yeah. And so like having to pick what you want to be when you're 18.
Yeah.
That's why so many people just hate their fucking life, because you were chose before your brain was even developed enough to know what you want. You know, what you want.
Yeah.
It's just so messed up. Like, I don't even, I'm getting passionate and I don't have words, but I just, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think the current education system is built in a way that satisfies the needs for the new generation. I think we are a more modern society, and our education system hasn't changed at all to represent what we need as an evolved society or generation.
Well, I mean, the young people seem to care about social media, and they care about like being a part of like a cause or a movement because it's socially acceptable or like popular. Like that's kind of what seems to be like trendy. They don't really want to like learn and contribute to the world. Like I don't see that. Like they're contributing TikTok dances.
Well, I think so much of our world is media based now. It's online because, I mean, if anything this last 2 years taught us is that that meeting actually could have been an email. You know, it's like, it's shown that we can do so much virtually that you don't have to be present for. And I think like we're realizing now that things are switching, things are changing for sure. Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like dangerous because human interaction is necessary. And when people are doing just emails, I think like the purpose of getting people in an office together is to network and communicate and bond with your team
and spark creativity.
Yeah. And so if you're not doing that in an email, you're working independently. It's almost like it's like. It's forward and backward at the same time. So they need to find a way to like, still make it human-like. I don't know.
Still make it human-like. That's our goal. To be human-like.
That's my goal.
So moving on. The world is FUBAR. We're still talking about that. The next thing I wanted to talk about in relation to that was the fact that we are all materialistic as a society right now. Like we are all about like things rather than experiences or anything. It's like it's all about the newest thing, the best thing. We throw away things rather than fix them. Like we are so like high turnover rate when it comes to things. Yeah. It's I am in a lot of ways, but I'm also not in some. Like for example, my old Noveski shirt, I haven't worn this in like 4 years, and I was like, I'm gonna wear an old shirt today because I don't get rid of my t-shirts ever. Yeah, I'm not sentimental at all when it comes to my things. There are like 4 or 5 pieces that I own that I'm like, man, I really have sentimental value towards this. Like, isn't sentimental? I'm just not gonna get rid of it. That's what I'm saying though. Like people place so much importance on things. Like I almost lived on a boat when I moved to Florida. I was gonna live on a boat because I just didn't give a crap about my stuff, and it was gonna be like a cheap way of living. And I think so much now it's like, do you have the newest iPhone? Do you have, a huge house? Do you have like all these things? Yeah, no, you're right. And I think that's like a main concern for a lot of people, and it didn't used to be that way. Yeah, it's not that it's a bad thing per se, but I think like it's like way too much of a priority for society right now. 100%. I mean, you can have a nice car, but like, do you have good relationships? Do you have a loving family? Do your kids want to hang out with you? It's all about portraying the perfect life on social media. Yeah. It's all about looking the part rather than actually being the part. And that can be like impossible to maintain, and that can be a strain on mental health too. You said, when was the last time you felt in homeostasis, right? Like when you're constantly striving for like unobtainable things, how are you even supposed to feel like you're enough or you have enough? Yeah, it's again, it's like you have to find like a little happy medium, because it's important to, Andy Frisella
well, he talked a lot about it, but like when he was starting out in his business, First Form, like his goal, was, I like how it's like Derek now, we are in the garage, okay?
Yeah.
His goal was to, he wanted a Lamborghini because he saw one when he was like 9 years old. And his dad was like, if you work really hard, you can have that someday. And so like, yes, it was material, but like it was motivation. And it was like a check mark of like, hey, I reached like this one spot, but then he made new goals. But I think like you have to find a way to use it. Like, you know, I don't subscribe to a lot of that stuff. Like, we were talking about gym clothes the other day. We're like, oh, let's not buy new gym clothes because it's something that we probably could feel fine investing more money in because we spend so much time there and it's important to us. At the same time, it's like, is it necessary?
Yeah.
I don't need, like, maybe if I'm having like a slump and I'm like, oh, it would motivate me to go to the gym tomorrow if I had a new sports bra or something. Sure. You know, or like if you aren't a gym rat and you want to start, you want to get a couple, like a new pair of shoes that you can wear every day. And you want to like motivate yourself. Like it's exciting to like get some momentum rolling, but then the rest is up to you. But you can't do that every friggin' time.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that? Caring so much.
I think that you should place more importance on experiences and learning from things rather than obtaining the next thing. Like you said, you placed importance in like, I'm working to get a Lamborghini. Well, what do I have to do to get the Lamborghini? It's more about the process rather than the end goal being a possession.
Yeah.
And did he actually buy a Lamborghini? Do you know he did? He got it?
Yeah.
He did it?
Took him like 10 years.
Oh, that's not very long. I'm proud of him.
America, come here. Come here.
But considering, so going along with the material possessions, I think what I meant by that is we're constantly in a superficial realm, right? We constantly just want to feel good. We are in a world of likes, clicks and likes. We want to put the best version of us out for everybody to see, whether it's the real version or not. You know, like, what does it matter if you have all these nice things if you are bankrupt? You know, like, it doesn't matter.
Which
like,
a lot of people are. Like,
yeah.
I've heard of, like, people, like, renting cars to stand in front of them on social media. It's, like, insane. But, hold on.
But I think... so we're obsessed with reality TV. We're obsessed with lives that aren't our own. You know, we're obsessed with so many things that don't matter. And in that regard, I think we have become directionless. We don't actually have a real purpose. We only have the next desire. What's the next cool thing? What's the next fun? We're always looking for fun and instant gratification rather than working towards something. Like, it's not fun to be grueling and putting through the work to actually end with like a goal. But what's fun is what's the next fun thing around us, you know, and you see so much of this on the internet. So thanks to the internet, it's like an all you can eat buffet of things. It's a constant like instant gratification and it's like you feed into it. I mean, we do it. I sit there and scroll through Instagram, likes. I really like when I get likes. I like people wanting to see my shit. I love when people are invested in looking at me, you know. But it's like so easily to get consumed by that.
You know what's funny? Someone said this the other day about social media and I was like, wow. And so they're like, oh, you're sad that only like 10 people liked your picture. And they're like, what if you had gotten 10 compliments from strangers in real life that day? That's a lot of people complimenting you.
Yeah.
And I mean, a like essentially is a compliment, like good job, whatever. And I'm like, that is so crazy. I'm like, I would be happy if one person complimented me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, when you think about it like that, you're like, oh shit, like, that's crazy. How, you know, you have to get like what, like 10 times as many to like make it matter? It's stupid.
Well, yeah. And it's so easy to make comments online, but why can't we do them in person? You know, like speaking even past likes, speaking past that, like so many, you talk about cyberbullying, you talk about people like asking you out online, but they see you in person and they won't say shit. You know, it's like when did we hide behind a screen, you know? I
mean, yeah, definitely the last 2 years, but more so like just before that for sure.
Yeah. It's all back to that interpersonal relationships and developing that kind of social cues.
Yeah. And you know what? The other thing too that's a negative from it, especially like with work stuff, but also personal, is people don't know how to talk to people anymore. Even myself, I feel like I lack experience bringing up topics that could be confrontational with people I'm close with.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I haven't necessarily done it because everything is via text or you know, DM, or I don't really email people, but it's just not done verbally. Even if it is, maybe it's on the phone and you don't have to look at them and then you can just hang up.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not okay. And I don't know, do you feel like that? Like, do you feel like certain people, like, it's harder to talk to in
Oh,
real life?
100%. Like, having to, like, end things with anybody, you know, like breaking up with anybody, whether that be like a romantic relationship or a business relationship or a job, like quitting a job. Like, it's so much easier to do it over text. And I don't know, like, I know but like in some instances, it may be better to do it that way, you know? Like, it gives that other person time to cope with their emotions and gives them time to, you know, go through what they're going through and then come back.
Up with someone?
I've never broken up with somebody over the phone or text, but like I can see I have been broken up with over a phone call, and it did give me it gave me time to process it before I had to see him in person. Like, at the time I was like, oh fuck, oh, this was totally disrespectful. I mean, it's like should have been done in person. But if you can't do something in person but it needs to be done, I mean, the next best thing would be to do it over the phone call.
For sure, not a text.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And like there is a point, like, I agree, where you know, you can fully write out your thought and like say all that you want to say. Like, it's just the same thing as like a letter, you know, like, or an email. Like, you can say everything that you want to get across, whereas like if you say something like the first sentence to someone, they're going to interrupt and they're going to be upset, and then you won't be able to like say everything, which, I mean, that's human nature, but that, I guess, could be a pro, you know, from it.
There are pros and cons.
But I think people that break up with people over text are a piece of shit. I said it.
She said it. I'm not disagreeing.
I feel like we're camping. It's in the dock.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying that is how I would prefer to be broken up with, you know, like, definitely. And that one was a long-term relationship too. So it was like, oh crap, you know, do I mean absolutely nothing to you? But, you know, I've had time to process it now, and I'm like, you know what, like, it's all right. It's all right.
No, yeah, that's hindsight,
Yeah.
What do you think about, I think this ties in a lot to social media and just like life, because the phrase comparison is a thief of joy. That was like one of the things that popped in my head when we were listening to the speaker on Sunday. It's so much easier to, I mean, people have always been comparing themselves, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like the neighbors, like, you think that someone's life is so perfect, like the grass is greener kind of situation, and you want to have the nice car, the nice wife, the nice house, the cute dog, but are you really happy? And like, the same things that make you happy don't make me happy.
Yeah.
You know, like for an example, like you said you could live on a boat. Like, I would not want to live on a boat. And like, I have sentimental things like from my mom that like make me happy when I see them, and like, not so much that they're not valuable, but like those, you know, so like certain things to different people make people happy. You know, like, there was a funny story about like my tiger painting. My old roommate, she did a really cute thing a couple Christmases ago. When I was at work, she had a day off. I worked a 12-hour shift, and I came home and she had wrapped all of the art in wrapping paper, like presents. So cute. And then hung them back on the wall. But she wrapped my mom's painting. Now that's been in like so my mom died in 2017. It's been in my house since I was a child. So like, there's been very few times where I like haven't seen it. And it was Christmas time. Yeah. And I was like, Adria, like, thank you, but like, I need that one unwrapped, like, right now. Yeah. Like, and I can do it, but you should probably do it. Like just that one that's too much. Like, you know, but like the meaning of things, Anyway.
And I'm not saying that it's bad to have sentimental value towards things.
No,
Like at all.
of course
That's
not.
not what I'm wanting to say. But you said the comparison is a thief of joy and the
Yeah.
grass is always greener, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's the saying that goes with that. The grass is always greener where you water it. Right. And so that stems back to your idea about purpose.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, you can always compare. It's human nature to compare yourself to others. You're going to do it. Like, you can try not to, and you can always compare yourself, be happy for them and their progress, and also be like happy with your progress.
Right.
There's healthy ways to cope with comparison. But what you said, control your controllables. Well,
Yep.
water your own grass.
Yeah.
You know, like if you think they're doing amazing and you want to be like that, well, what can you do to your grass to make it greener? What can you do about your lawn to make it appear as something that you want it to be?
Yeah.
So that's where I find, the most solace in that.
No, absolutely. I actually love that part of the grass is greener, like phrase. Because people they neglect their own relationships, they neglect their own family, and then they just like, like people will go get I hate my job. Go get a new job. I hate this job too. It's like, it's not the job, dude. It's you. This relationship sucks. Get a new relationship. That relationship, same problem. Like it's you. You are the problem. You are.
It's not me. It's you.
Well, it's like you are not working on developing yourself as a human.
Yeah.
You're working on finding what is easiest. It doesn't. The good things in life are not easy.
Yeah.
And like, how many times we've been told that, and it like. Everyone wants it quick, just like they want 6-minute abs,
Yeah. Well, that's good. So we're talking about being like a constant state of like instant gratification. That's like stemming back to the whole podcast topic today.
Yeah.
The world is FUBAR. How to cope with stress and anxiety, basically, because the world is always seeking what's best. We're seeking homeostasis, but we haven't been in so long.
Yeah.
We've been in a constant state of stress and tension and not knowing what the fuck to do. Well, the question that, I was planning on asking you in this is, when you're 80 years old, what's going to matter to you most? What's going to matter to you when you're reaching, hopefully not 80 being the end of your life, but when you're nearing the end, what's going to matter?
I mean, when I'm 80, looking back on my life, I want to know that I put effort in and like took risks, and I tried everything I wanted to try, and I wasn't just like scared, and that I made relationships, that I impacted people, that like lives were changed because they knew me.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that I care about. Like, I'm not going to care that I had a really big house. I mean, if I got that big house because I built my dream career and I raised my family there, that would be different. Like, but so those are the kind of things that I personally am going to care about.
Yeah. So when I ask myself that, I think what's important to me is the word legacy. Like so much of what I strive for is, like you said, to make an impact on the world. Like, what is my legacy when all of this is over? Like, who did I impact? What did I impact? What did I stand for? Did people remember me in a good light? Did people think, oh man, she was a bitch? It's what did I leave behind? And not saying that I want people to know my name. Like, I don't give a fuck about being famous. I don't give a fuck about people across the world knowing who I was.
Right.
I was literally watching Troy today, and it was like Achilles went into battle for the Battle of Troy just so people would know his name. And it was arrogance and it was ego. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My legacy, I want to mean something. I want to make an impact to the people that I came in contact with in my life. And hopefully that's a large group of people. Hopefully I impacted people in a positive way that helped them, make their own legacy.
Yeah.
But when I'm 80 years old, nothing that I'm working for right now, like, necessarily is going to matter. You know, like, we get so frustrated in the day by day. And somebody said to me one time when I was like freaking out over something small, and they were like, will it matter in 5 years? Will it matter in 10 years?
Right.
Will it?
I love thinking about it like that. You're like, oh shit.
And you're like, oh, well, why get upset about anything ever, Well, we were jumping back to that speaker we had, we went and saw on Sunday. He was acting like a salesman. It's seeing if you were, interested in real estate investment. He walked to the crowd and he asked, hey, are you interested in real estate investment? And they would be like, yes. All right. Do you want to keep talking to me about it? Yes. All right. I'm going to get your number after this. Moved on to the next person. Are you interested in real estate? No. Do you want to hear more about it? No. All right. Moved in the next person. Like, you don't get caught up in the rejection. You don't get caught up in the instant gratification. You're like, how many people can I help? And not get caught up in just one person or one thing. You have so much impact. You can touch so many lives, so many things. That is what I care about, is my legacy is, did I have a fulfilling life for myself? And what did I do to help other people lead fulfilling lives? 100%. That's what I care about when I'm 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a adorable story of this old man the other day, and very simply, he during World War II saved, like, he went and saved like 600 or something Jewish kids, and he brought them to, like, I don't know, Czechoslovakia or something like that. Anyway, he rehomed like 600 kids, and they like invited him to like this event, and he had made a list of these kids' names so that he could, like, you know, keep track of them, and they invited him all there, and just to show him, like, they're all grown up and they've all like got families of their own and are like living their life, and it's like, that is like, I mean, that's obviously, like, that man is amazing, and I could only hope to be that impactful, but it's like, that is the kind of feeling that I want, is to, like, I don't necessarily need to, like, be appreciated for it, but I want to know that I mattered in that way. Yeah, it's funny because, like, we're individuals, but, like, we're really, we're not here for us.
No.
Like, we're not here to be just our own. This is very shitty YouTube video.
Well, yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry.
Yes. Just think that we're camping.
Do you want to talk about how depressed and stuff you are?
Sure. Let's talk about Kimmy's sadness.
Not that. I was talking about how everybody's just on antidepressants and anxiety.
Yeah, so you see, like, I don't know. I've seen an increase in, you know, people constantly talking about needing antidepressants or needing therapy or needing ADHD meds, or there's being so many things that are being diagnosed now. And I don't know if it's just because we've advanced in medicine, or we've advanced, or if there's external stressors that weren't there in the past, like social media. Like, before, I mean, if you needed to know something, you looked in a fucking encyclopedia, right? And if it wasn't in the encyclopedia, you asked the people around you. And if they didn't know, you didn't know. And you were okay just not knowing. There was acceptance.
Yeah.
If I think of something I don't know, I instantly Google. And if Google can't tell me, I literally cannot handle it.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So it's like,
I don't know if it makes me shake, but it bothers me too.
Oh no, I can't deal with it. Like, it's like, is that us evolving as a society of, like, needing instant gratification? Because that's for me for sure. Like, if I could never imagine a world without Google or without a phone. You know,
I mean,
like, if you didn't want people
without it, so like,
no,
it was. Yeah.
If people want to get a hold of you, they can get a hold of you in some way. Right now, like, if you didn't want to get a hold of, take the phone off the fucking line. And then people couldn't call you. And you could have, like, some sort of semblance of peace.
You could turn your phone off.
You could, but, I mean, there's a bunch of other ways to get in contact with me. And it's like...
Not with me, my phone's off. I don't have a computer that I'm logging into.
Well, I'm not even saying it like that. Like, I'm not saying that I couldn't get myself away if I wanted to, because I could turn all my devices off and just be alone, but I know in the back of my head all the obligations that I had.
Yeah.
So I never can turn that off. I can't just accept that.
It's true. It's
like the stressors of modern day world are different than they used to be, and so I think that we're having to deal with them in a different way. Depression, anxiety, coping, that kind of thing.
I think there's too much information. I think that kind of like what we started talking about in this conversation is, you know, do you want to be informed or ignorant? Because too informed and you're stressed out and worried all the time, but like ignorant, you're totally unaware and like unable to contribute and help.
Yeah.
So there's just too much. We're not, like you said, we're not supposed to be. I don't think that we are. evolving. Like the world sure is, but like I don't think that it's in alignment with how we are supposed to be living.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I don't think that we're supposed to have all that information. Like I'm glad that like we can make things better. Like humans are amazing. We can do so many things now and help people, but also we can use that power for evil, and many people do.
Yeah.
So
that's a question I don't have an answer for, because I constantly feel like I'm not doing enough or knowing enough or doing enough. And I don't know if that's because of, like you said, an overwhelming massive information thrown at me all the time, or if it's my obligation to try to handle what I can handle and recognize that I'm only one person. You know, you can't be everything to everyone.
Well,
but I try to. Trust me, I try. I try.
You do. You're an overachiever for sure.
I don't know. That's a good question. And then it's something to think about. It's like we don't have an answer to why the world is fucked. We don't have an answer to how to make it better. But we have some good tips on how to make you feel a little bit better right now.
Yeah, and the other thing that I want to say about, before we move totally on from the whole drug thing, like prescriptions for all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. When I was working in the hospital, there was young, I'm talking early 20-year-olds that were coming in, and they were just stressed and worried, whatever, and like I don't even know what their problems were, but guarantee you that like most of it was just mental. And America, it's a frog. Mm-hmm. And they're like getting prescribed anxiety meds. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you haven't even done anything yet. Like, what are you anxious about? And so it's frustrating because I saw it so often. I think we shouldn't push pills as much as we do right now, when we should work on dealing with because I'm not saying that as a 20-year-old you don't have anxiety. I'm 25. I have fucking anxiety. I have lots of things. Yeah, no. I just mean, I think we're quick to try to find a quick solution, which would be like a pill to help, rather than forcing therapy or forcing like teaching. Forcing's a rough word, but like teaching ways to deal with the anxiety, or trying to find the source of it, and realizing if that's something that we can deal with, rather than immediately just taking a pill. I mean, it goes back to education. Mm-hmm. We're not trained ever in anything, but specifically like how to handle your emotions, and your feelings, and like how to cope with trauma or difficult situations. Like we're not taught how to deal with it. We learn from our families, and our surroundings, and we learn through experience. And if those things if they're not good teachers, because they're learning from their fucked up parents and their situations, then it's just a bad cycle. And so I'm so anti big pharma, like prescribing shit to people. You know, I've had counselors that just immediately jump on like antidepressants and antidepressants. Why did I say that weird? It's frustrating. Like, how about what skill or tool did you give me first to have me try? You didn't. You listened for 5 minutes, and you're like, here, like. And then when you get more overwhelmed than that, and the pills stop working, what do? Oh, you up your dosage? Yeah, of course. And then you're just there forever. Rather than, it's like if you give a man a fish versus teaching them to fish, that story. 100%. And it's like, we just need to be better. Be better. Yeah. Yeah, it's Maya Angelou's quote. What is it? Do the best you can until you know better, and then do better. Then do better. Yeah. And you know, I think that one of the things that I've told a couple people, and it seems a little harsh, but just bear with me. I've told this to my kid. I've told this to like some close friends, but I tell people often when they're going through some hard shit. I tell myself this. So to be fair, it's something I tell myself. You are not unique. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, we are all individual people. There is no one else on this planet like us. And nobody else can know exactly what we feel or think or be us. So we are individuals, but we are not unique in the sense that we are living this human experience in a way that no one else has. Yeah. Because we all have the same types of feelings and thoughts, essentially, like different combinations, different experiences, sure, but like, you're not the first person to be sad.
No.
You're not the first person to get fired or to get broken up with on the phone. Like, you're not the first person to lose your eyesight or get in a car accident and your whole family dies. Like, people have dealt with it and they've done worse and they've come out on top.
Yeah. To add on to that, I think it's honestly your responsibility to deal with your shit and not take it out on other people, to not do it. Like, recognize your traumas, but like you said, nobody gives a fuck about your story. Like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, we were talking about, like, when we're talking about, like, our story, right? We're talking about our story, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. Like, what are you immediately doing? You're thinking about what happened to you that's worse, right? You're like, oh, you're like, well, you know, I lost my job, and I got in a car accident, and I did all this last year, and you're like, well, ready? Here you go. Here's what happened to me. You know, why is my baggage worse than yours? And look what I'm doing. You know, that kind of thing. It's not a big comparison party of like who can be more fucked up. Yeah. But I feel like that's how we do it. But honestly, like if you like you said,
America for sure.
Like you said, nobody gives a fuck. Yeah. Everybody has their shit. Yep. So it's your responsibility to deal with it and then contribute to society.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of jumped all over the place on this one because we're both feeling like, we're just feeling it right now. We're feeling the tension in the country and in the world.
And I think everybody is.
100%. And that was part of the point of doing this, was because I want people to know that, like, everybody feels it.
You're not alone.
Even people that you think, like, have their shit together, like, they got their shit that they're stressed about. So, figure out how to control the things that you can control. Find a way to like make that 80-year-old version of you proud of the life that you lived and not have regrets. Yeah. So do you have anything else to say on that?
My last thing I want to say with that is, my mantra is you never regret being kind. It's what I live by. I tell myself every day, you never regret being kind. You always, like, if you're in the moment and you pop up on somebody, like, you may not regret it, but you may. But what you'll never regret is keeping a cool head during that situation and being kind. And so with what we just said, recognize that everybody is dealing with their own shit. Like they always say, like, you don't know what baggage they're holding, so be kind. Like, just choose kindness. I think that is literally how to fix the world. I said earlier we didn't have the solution. No, I have the solution. Just be fucking kind. Even if you don't want to. Yeah. Be kind.
I like it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. We hope you do some hard shit today. And if you're scared, do it anyway. Check out our Instagram page. It is the Start to Be Great podcast. And if you have questions or topics you want us to talk about, DM us there. And then my personal page is Muricana, AMURICANNA.
My personal page is Kimmy_Croson. We will see you next Monday at 6 a.m. Why so early? Because we're fucking sharks, and sharks don't give a damn that it's Monday.